Hey guys, another short kind of vlog here. Really need to get a new camera with new batteries that last longer than just a few minutes. So this vlog might just self-terminate kind of early. We'll have to see what's going on. So I wanted to give you guys a little economics lesson because we're dealing with some economic bullshit in our country right now and around the world. And maybe if you had some insight into how all that stuff works, you'd be able to navigate these difficult waters and, stay afloat. So basically, in a nutshell, we're suffering such inflation because, short story, we've all been grifted, okay? It's a scam. Like, the dollar's a scam. All right, it's imaginary play money. And the more of something that there is, like in this case dollars, the more dollars there are, the less value they carry. So I mean, the dollar is like worth like 1% of it was when it like 100 years ago or even 150 years ago. So that's part of it. Second, those folks in Western countries, especially the United States, have been living on slave labor essentially our whole lives. Like, all the stuff that we know and love that we get in this country, we get it cheap because we get it from overseas. And there's certain places overseas that use basically forced labor to produce products and send them over here. So whenever you try to buy something that's made in the USA, you're going to see the true cost of something. For example, like when you go to a cool shop that's got nice outdoor clothes, everything's made in the US, or at least, designed in the US and sent to like a place that doesn't use slave labor and treats their employees fairly to make the clothes, you're going to pay more for them, and that's why. So we're suffering in this country because our currency's been devalued and we've been living like a false life this whole time. Oh, poor skunk. Somebody hit a skunk. So now we all basically need to get used to the real cost of things. And nobody factors any of this stuff in. Like, for example, when you go mine gold, is there like anything you have to pay the earth? No, you just dig a hole in the ground and you process the ore. That's 100% of your expenses. There's like no tax that the earth says, hey, if you're gonna make a mine inside of my surface, you're gonna have to pay me some money. Well, that doesn't really happen, even though it probably should. But other things, like the real cost, like for example, when you buy organic food and you're like, damn, that stuff's expensive. Well, when you don't cut corners and use chemicals to like speed the growth cycle and make bigger plants and much more like large monocrops, it's going to be more expensive because you can't take advantage of those scales of economy. So my advice is, get the more expensive stuff. Shop local. Don't go to places like Walmart. Don't shop on Amazon. Use your local frickin' sawmill or your locally independently owned lumberyard to get building materials. We could still come out of this. We just have to stop supporting the things in this world that aren't giving back to us. Like when you go to Walmart to buy something that, say, another shop in your town, like a small business, carries, but they're like $5 more expensive. So you go to Walmart to get it. Well, you know what happens to that money? Most of it, like 90% or more, gets shipped out of state to Walmart headquarters in Arkansas. Okay, the city gets their little bit of tax, the county might get their little tax, state gets a little bit of tax. But the local municipality does not get much back. I mean, their employees are paid shit. They're on welfare, which is a whole other topic. Not going to get into right now. But essentially, when you buy from places like this and buy on Amazon, you're just sending your money away. You're sending your energy away from your local community. It's much better to buy local, support these local independent businesses that surround you and actually care about you, and give them the money, because that money is going to stay in the economy. You know, that business owner is going to go take that money and he's going to go to other small businesses and buy things he needs. He's going to go out to local restaurants. Because business owners know, they're the ones that are most aware of this, that if you buy local, like, that money circulates several more times than it would if you bought from large out-of-state corporations. That's why they call Walmart's town killers. And you want to know the story of the town killer here? Well, I think it was in the early 2000s. I'm not exactly sure when we got our Walmart here. But the city protested, and they would not allow Walmart to build within the city limits. So they voted them out, and they were not allowed to build. Yet, the county commissioners were all about it. They're like, come on, you can just build in unincorporated part of the county. And so they did, because there was no opposition at the county level. Well, they got set up and built their super center. It killed dozens of Main Street businesses. Just tons of places just went belly up, left and right. And everybody was essentially forced to go to Walmart, because the places that were on Main Street weren't there anymore. They had to close shop. And also, the city realized, after all was said and done, that they're missing out on very important tax revenue. So they ended up backtracking on their decision, and what they did is they expanded their city limits. They amended the city limits and expanded the city to include where Walmart was built, so that they could take the tax revenue. But ever since that place has been here, the town has never been the same. Crime has been higher. Well, you know why? It's because there's less money in the area in general. Like, these big corporate interests, they may provide some shitty jobs, but it's a shitty job. Would you rather be working at Walmart or running your own business and making, like, way more money? Producing something yourself that the world actually enjoys, that your community can actually use. So that's my rant. You gotta stay local. Don't worry about if it's more expensive. I know you can get it cheaper at Walmart, because Walmart uses slave labor to get all of their products. Okay? It's really simple. You have to consider where your stuff is coming from. And I'll tell you another story that's the same thing. Manufacturing industry. I once tried to compete with Taiwan making bike parts, and some of y'all may already know this about me. I used to make bike parts in California, and I had a gig with Leader Bike USA, and they wanted me to build a chain ring for them, at least to start, for their track bikes. And so he told me what he wanted it to look like, kind of gave me a general concept, and I made a prototype for him at my expense, by the way. It cost me several $100s, plus my time. I produced one, and I gave him the price, which was like 3.5 times what he could get the same kind of stuff he'd been getting from Taiwan. Like $10 a chain ring. Mine was 35, and I wasn't making anything. Okay, that's like no markup. That's just me just trying to get out there. Maybe I could use this first, gig to start something bigger and make money later. But I was willing to do this, not at a loss, but at least break even. Well, he wasn't having 3.5 times what he was used to paying just to have it made in the USA. And, I explained to him what was all involved and what had to be done and packaging. And we ended up basically stripping the thing down of all of its cool features, all the graphics and cool laser cut patterns that we had in there, and some machining. We reduced all this to just a bare black 144 BCD chainring for a track bike, and it was still like 13 bucks with the cheapest packaging that I could come up with, which is basically like a cardboard sleeve. And ultimately, the dude got pissed. He was like gonna place an order with 10,000, and then all of a sudden he changes it. He's like, no, I think I'm just gonna do 5,000 of those, and I want to do 2,000 of this other configuration and 3,000 of this other configuration. And this kind of really pissed me off, and I told him, I'm like, look, dude, I'm gonna have to make 2 more prototypes now, and you haven't paid me for the first one. And that pissed him off, and that was the end of my business relationship with Leader Bike USA. So yeah, as you can tell, the battery died mid-through video. So anyway, yeah, done with Leader. He basically fired me because I couldn't compete anywhere near to what Taiwan was doing. And you know, that was not even marking up the price at all, ever. I was hoping to do that later and maybe find ways to decrease my costs as the production went on, but initially, yeah, like I came within like $3 of his price, $10 a chainring, and still not enough. And so he ended up buying from Taiwan. So yeah, that's just another example. So shop local. I guess I really don't have much to say on this. I was about to close the vlog anyway, but you know, it's okay to pay a little bit more to support your small business, because you're seeing the real cost of things. And you know, if there's just so much that's hidden, there's so much that's hidden that we can't see, but it's pretty obvious if you just look into it. So I'm gonna say good night. We'll catch y'all in the next video. Hope you learned something. Peace out.